What's up, guys?
Welcome to Dopeless. Hey, yeah, we have a special video here today. We actually have a big audience. Everybody say hi.
Hi.
All right, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking, just 3 or 4 people in the room.
Because the special occasion is Jason's 53rd birthday.
My 53rd birthday.
But he looks 35.
Yeah, I look absolutely amazing for my age.
But you look 53.
But I look 53. And, you guys all know Jeremy, my hetero life mate forever, and my best friend Ronnie. Yeah, we're going to talk about disappointments today. We'll try to keep it as short as we can because between the 3 of us, what do we have, like 50 years worth of active drug use? I mean, you two are a lot older than I am, so it's, anyway. Who wants to kick it off?
I have 27 years myself. No,
27?
You're going first. It's your
I'm
birthday.
going first. All right. I'm Jason. I'm a grateful drug addict.
Jason.
Disappointments. That's been probably my nickname for the better part of my life is disappointment. I was a pretty good athlete in high school, and had a lot of opportunities, and I was probably a disappointment to my dad in a lot of ways. If he was still alive, by the time I went to the penitentiary, that would have been an even bigger disappointment. I let a lot of people down over the years because I've been in and out of recovery for a long time. Probably coming up on 15 years of trying to get clean and trying to work a program and just disappointing everybody. I said it a while back whenever I twisted off and everybody around here wasn't used to my get down. My mom told my whole family, yeah, this is what he does. That broke my heart. So I knew I had to do something different. I just celebrated 9 months last Saturday, and that's the most legitimate amount of clean time I had ever. I have a pretty good routine. I don't break from it a whole lot. When I do, sometimes I get a little messed up and I take it out on people, and I don't mean to. I try not to be a disappointment today. I got people that look up to me that actually get something from what I say, and I don't want to be. I said this just the other day. I don't want to be that guy anymore because I still see the angles everywhere I go. I still see the scumbag way that I could get over on people. That's been a big part of my life for a long time, was just finding that angle and being a disappointment to a lot of people. Today it's a lot better. I'm very, very happy with everything that's going on. Minor hiccups and speed bumps are cool, man, because I know how to deal with them a lot more. Whether it be my job or any kind of relationship that I have or anything like that. My readings that I go over every morning, I pray and I meditate, pray a lot. And all that is preparation to not be a disappointment anymore, because everything that I've built up, I'll be damned if I lose it all over, just one bad decision. That's why I do the things that I do every day. That's why I attend my 12-step meetings. That's why I read my literature. That's why I talk to my sponsor. That's why I have sponsee, because it's my way of giving back. All that's so I don't disappoint anybody anymore. And I'm very grateful today. So having said all that, Jeremy or Ronnie, who's going? Long-winded. Fucking lame, dude.
My name's Ronnie. I'm grateful.
Jeremy's gonna be coming in the rear. Such is life.
Disappointments. So my father, he was a police officer when I was growing up for 21 years. I wasn't raised in a broken home. My parents were married for 41 years until my dad passed away. I had good support. There was no violence, there was no abuse, there was no sexual molestation, there was none of that. So the home that I grew up in was very strong. And when I think of my childhood, I think of good times. There was never any bad times. I never seen people fighting or crazy drunks. When I think of my childhood, I think of growing up in Sundays was football or baseball. We were going to my grandparents' house. We were cooking out. We were swimming, playing horseshoes. People were drinking there, but there was never any violence. So when I veered off and started using drugs, my dad, he was still alive at the time. Something that always sticks to my mind, I can close my eyes and I hear him say, "You're better than that. You're so much better than that." He passed away 10 years ago. And when I lost him, my addiction slowly spun out of control, even worse than what it was. When I got my kids took, it was kind of like when you have a full belly and you unbutton your pants and you can breathe, like I could finally be free with my addiction, although I did miss my kids so much. It killed me, but I didn't have to hide it anymore. I could smoke dope in my living room and not worry about it. When my mom would show up, I could just see the disappointment in her eyes, you know. She could just look in my eyes and say, "Your eyes look funny." Coming clear of being a full-blown junkie, all gas, no break, I could just see the hurt in her eyes. And I could not stay in the room with her for more than 30 minutes, and we would already be arguing. So I went to treatment. I lasted 7 days. I got escorted out by the sheriffs. And having to call my mom, I'll tell you that story later, fool. Having to call my mom and tell my kids that, you know, I am not there anymore. The hurt that I caused my kids, you know, my family, my support it just made me use even more. My family and my kids hold me to such a high standard, and just disappointing them it's heartbreaking. And so getting high is just like putting a Band-Aid on my wound, you know. You get in the bathtub or you jump in that lake and that Band-Aid's gonna come off. Well, gotta put another one on, you know, gotta keep getting high. Slowly I started to miss family functions because they looked at me different. They were talking about me, which was a lie. You know, my family's always wanted nothing but the best for me. And I see that now being sober. They've always loved me regardless of anything I've been through. And so now when I don't think about getting high, like to where I'm going to use, but I think about drugs every single day. I'm an addict. Every single day I think about drugs. I talk about drugs, you know. But I always close my eyes and just tell myself, you know, I don't want to disappoint my kids again, man. I've come so far and I've built my blocks up so high to where I don't want to knock them down to where they're never going to believe in me again, you know, because my kids love me so much, you know, and I'm so grateful for restored relationships, really, for restored relationships. I think that's all I got because I'm starting to sweat.
It's dusty in here, fool.
Jeremy, I'm an addict.
Jeremy.
I think disappointment for me was I was disappointed in myself from a very young age. I grew up thinking that my stepdad was my dad until I was about 7 or 8 years old. And then I found out that that wasn't my dad, that my dad had gotten my mother pregnant and ran off. And so that put this stigma that I put on myself. It made me feel like I was less than. And I used that as an excuse for a long time. But, you know, unlike Ronnie's story, my story, there was drug use there in my home growing up. There was violence. There's a lot of things. And then it got to a point where there was just no supervision at all. And from the age of about, 12, 13, I started exhibiting addict behavior, but I wasn't using yet. I mean, well, I was smoking weed, but I guess I was using.
Just weed.
But I was exhibiting addict behavior from a very young age, even before I ever picked up anything. As far as running wild, by the time I was 15, I had 4 grand theft autos, a couple of breaking and enterings. I robbed a convenience store. You know, I was just wild, and I was just acting out, and I was a disappointment to my entire family, because no one else in my family really acted like that. So I grew up with this self-talk telling me that I'm a disappointment, I'm a piece of crap, and I'm always going to be a piece of crap. And that carried on over into adulthood. And even when I would get some small successes, you know, get clean for a little while, I always had in the back of my mind that, well, eventually you're going to go back to it. You just are. That's who you are. Used to, and I talked about this a couple nights ago, the way I used to look at everything was that the world owed me something, because of the way I was brought up, and because of all the bad hands that I've been dealt. And so I used that as an excuse to keep acting out and doing things that I shouldn't be doing. And that carried over, like I said, into adulthood, and I kept doing things that I shouldn't be doing. And eventually it landed me at 43 years old in jail with 15 felony charges. Because I thought I was smarter than, you know, I would always get caught for shit. I was never a good criminal.
We couldn't have been friends.
Because, you know, I think I got away with it, and then years later it'd creep up on me, and I'd have to pay the price for it. And eventually, I got to the point where, you know, used to, any drug that was put in front of me, I wasn't scared of it at all. Like, normal people, you put a rig full of heroin in front of them, and they're gonna freak out and leave. Me, I'm like, give it to me.
Give me twice
Let me
as
have
much,
it.
fool.
Yeah, I can do more than you can. And I had no fear when it came to that type of thing. I used to tell people the reason I liked heroin so much was it was the closest thing to dying without actually dying. And I don't know, I finally got to a point where going and sticking a needle in my arm scares the shit out of me now. I don't want to do it anymore. I've been the family disappointment for 20 years. I went to rehab for the first time at 17. I got out and immediately used that day, and I remember looking at my mom and seeing the disappointment in her eyes. What?
No, keep going.
Long-winded?
A little windy.
I just realized that the camera's sideways.
It's nice to not be that disappointment anymore. And I talked about this before too. It's nice for my family not to have to worry about where I'm at and what I'm doing anymore. If they're gonna find me dead somewhere, or you know, to have nieces and nephews and family members that look up to me that aren't like, oh, well, that's your piece of crap uncle that just continues to do bad things. And that's a good feeling. This is the first time in my life it's ever been like that. I've always been kind of and I say black sheep, but they wanted me to be part of the family. I just always kind of outcasted myself, and I've done that my whole life. And now I've rebuilt these relationships with my family, and I don't want to disappoint them anymore. And most of all, I don't want to disappoint myself anymore. So that's all I got.
Yesterday, what was yesterday, the 13th? On the 12th, it was 32 years since my older brother passed away, and we went out to I went out to his him and my grandpa and my dad are all buried in a row there, and we went out there yesterday morning and looked, and you know, it dawned on me that those three graves, man, those are two huge parts of a lot of bad things and some good things that happened in my life. You know, my brother passed away. My mom got born again, and that you know, she raised me in a Christian faith most of my childhood. And you know, my grandpa died. That's when stuff got bad. Mom kind of started to fall off, and right around times when I started experimenting with drugs. And then my father passed away. You know, that was all bad for everybody because that was stuff that wasn't supposed to happen. And when all three of them passed away, I was in a different belief as far as religion goes. So, for the sake of argument, I'll assume that all three of them are looking down on me. So, don't want to be a disappointment to them. You know, my dad wouldn't have been happy with the shit that I've done, man. He wouldn't have. You know, I honestly, you know, everything happens for a reason, but it might have gone a different way if he was still around. Same thing with my brother still around, and same thing with my grandpa is still around. So just seeing that yesterday, and that's the first time I'd been out there since I got out of prison, and I didn't grow up here, so every time we came to Ada, we would go out to the cemetery when we came into town, and we'd go out there before we left to, you know, say hello and goodbye, and it was weird. It was eye opening because that's the most clear headed I've ever been since ever, going out there and visiting them, and you know, just thinking, and you know, really, I just thought about it just now. I don't want to be a disappointment to any of them, or their legacy rather, you know, their memory, because that's pretty important, man. All three of them are still talked about to this day a great deal. They left quite an impact on everybody's life. So, but I had to get that out. Thank you. Good topic. I want to talk about gratitude. She said you talk about disappointment. I was like, shit, man, I don't want to cry on the channel, you know, on my birthday. But it was a good one, man. It's good.
You got anything else?
Long-winded.
Long-winded.
The only thing long about
The only thing wrong about you. Thank you for all your support.
Yes, thank you so much. Like, share, comment,
Yeah,
subscribe.
this goes on YouTube there, man. Hit that
Hit
like
that
button.
button.
Yeah, share it. Share. Got a lot of merch coming. Shirts
Hats.
and such. Hats. The hats came in. Dopeless apparel, man. Then we have a Facebook. We have a Facebook page for the clothing, man. Get on there and like that stuff. Start following it. Same thing with our fan page. Same thing with Dopeless Hope Fiends.
Same thing?
Hmm?
No, same thing.
Same thing. Until next time.
Palabra.
Palabra.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Thanks.